Looks like record is enabled.
Okay, yeah, I logged in from the room. Okay, we should be good to go.
Okay, guys, we start our weekly GraphQL demo, and today our host will be Yaroslav Rogaza from Atvix, who is one of our more active contributors. So, Yaroslav, continue, please.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. Hey, guys. So today in our agenda, I will tell a little bit about the small image and media gallery properties within a scope of product attributes. And Vitaly Boyko will tell about store configuration implementation, so coverage from the GraphQL perspective. And Bartek will tell us about return product stock data. And Martin will talk about regular expression. He will provide information about the fix for regular expression when filtering by root category ID. So I'm about to start. Let me share my screen. Okay, so we have an issue reported by Andrew Levine. It's regarding the image information of the product. So in our product interface, we have a field called small image. And if we make a request for this field for the small image, current GraphQL implementation will return us the relative path to the image inside of media directory. So sometimes this value is useful, but mostly if you make some operations on the backend, if you work with the images directly. But if you work with API, for example, it might be not very useful because you can do nothing with the relative URL. It can be useful if, for example, you use your Magento installation as the image storage, but in many cases you can use CDN or other storage, so you can't guess the exact URL of the image. So an idea here was to provide an additional field or rename the existing one to the small image URL and provide the full URL to the image. It might be very useful, for example, if you use a PWA application and you want to show product list on your page or so, and you don't want to parse the relative path to the image and just have a direct URL. So we have added additional field here that called small image URL, and this field returns the full URL of the small image of the product. And as I said, if this property is used for some product listing, it's also useful to return the configured placeholder instead of just null. If, for example, if the product has no small image. So I have here an example, the product with no images. And if we check the small image property, it's null. But for example, if you want to build like a product listing with images and use just a configured placeholder in your theme or a default Magento placeholder, it will return the placeholder. So you can decide to display it or not by the small image value, but you will have a URL, always have a URL for this placeholder. So I'm not sure about, so the main idea here was to rename the small image to small image URL, but I'm not sure we should rename it. Sometimes the small image value can be useful, and maybe some people already use this property, so just by removing it, it will be a little bit confusing. So my idea is just to add an additional field and use it for just direct URL. And that's all from my side. And the next, our presenter is Vitaly Boyko. Vitaly, please feel free to share your screen. And guys, if you have some questions regarding the implementation, please let me know.
Yeah, it makes sense to have URL additionally to a small image, and I believe we discussed this possibility as well, but we didn't modify requirements. So
Okay,
it's good
that's great.
to do this way.
Thank you.
So
Okay, Vitaly.
thank you, Yaroslav. So as you mentioned it, I was working on store config coverage task. Let me share my screen. So here is a ticket created by Alexander Lezun. We have to implement GraphQL coverage for store config endpoint. Let me jump into how it currently implemented in REST API to show how it works now. Here we have a store module. Coverage API. And here we have service API, which provides us, which provide us interface to get store configs with method get store configs. Let me jump into the service. So service returns array of DTO objects, which calls store config interface, and accept one unnecessary parameter, which is store codes, to filter exactly store configs. So let I show you how I implement how I implement it in GraphQL. So I added to schema as a query type, which is exactly accept one unnecessary parameter store codes and returns type store configs, which is a kind of wrapper for store config object, which contain all needed fields with configs. So let me show the implementation. Here we have one resolver, which is store config resolver. In store config resolver, we get data from that data provider. Data provider use same interface as a web API, is this store config manager, and in the same way we get data from store config manager and just iterate it from object type to nested array and return back to config resolver. Then let I show you how it works. Here on my system, I have one website, two store groups, and each one has a store within. If we not define the store codes, we're gonna accept all store views, store configs. Let us run. So as you can see, we get them. So let me define the store codes. It will be and now we're gonna get one. And this is pretty it from my side. Thank you, Yaro. Thank you for having me. If you have any question, please ask me.
Yeah, generally, I have something to add. Looks cool, really useful. We will use it in future. We had discussions with Magento guys related to what we need in a base, in a scope that we need a store configuration from Magento. and we deal that we will. I mean, initially we needed for PVA implementations, and we will define, in addition, the fields that we need for PVA. So we don't want to, for example, pull all store config, but there are also another one which is not covered by current web API. So we will provide the list of the fields that we need for now for PVA. So will be nice if we can extend it. Then also, in addition, we discussed that it will be nice to have some XML configuration within the Magento where we can define those lists. And then if the developers who will develop their own extensions in the future can extend it easily. So they just define a new config parameters in a XML file and it will be delivered back by GraphQL. That's one more point. And turning from current implementation, I have one question. I mentioned you transferring the store codes in like a parameter there. Fix me if I'm wrong, but I guess that in GraphQL, you're transferring usually the store code in a header, like if you want to get the data from another store.
Yeah, that's right. So actually, in any GraphQL endpoint, in any GraphQL query, you can specify store, and then the store header will initialize store manager, and you'll be able to access current store from your resolver. And at least it was supposed to be done this way. I'm not sure, like, if there is a use case for getting values for multiple stores at the same time. Do we need this? Because if we specify store code in header, then you cannot get like multiple.
Correct.
Well,
I mean, for now, I don't know any cases. If somebody can tell me, we can discuss it. But honestly,
So
I don't
as
know.
is intended for front end can only have one store in scope. So I don't think there is a use case.
Correct.
yeah. So and for what Alex mentioned regarding specifying whitelist, for now we wanted to have whitelist via DI configuration. So you cannot get like arbitrary config values, but we will figure out like what exactly we need for PWA. We will enable those, and then if somebody needs more, they can extend it in DI XML from the extension. So it should not be like very complex to correct current implementation, but I believe we still need to adjust it a little bit.
Yeah, agree.
Guys, but my proposal is create separate task for this functionality, because generally this process looks like ready for merge, and my proposal is move step by step.
Yep,
Yeah,
I would agree. Generally, I would propose that maybe we can align the store code so that we're not using it like parameter, but getting it from like current store, which transfer it in a header. That's only one changes, which will be nice to make in the scope of this pull request. And then we can make a new one already with we can make a new issue and then a new pull request for the additional changes.
I agree. I'm gonna do it. And have you any other questions?
no, also.
Nope, that's good. But still, thanks a lot. That really will help us because we are waiting for this implementation already for PVA.
Okay, so passing word to Yaroslav, please keep it up.
Yeah, that was a hot discussion. Thank you, Vitaly. And our next presenter is Bartek. Bartek, please share your screen.
Hi guys. Well, so I share my screen right now. So according to my current task, it was return product stock data. And according to description, I had to add fields related to product stock data. One is representation of in stock and out of stock. And second one is depends on configuration of threshold configuration. When only X left is set and our quantity is below that value, it should show us a quantity. And if only X left is disabled, it should show a null value. So in GraphQL, I added two fields, stock status and only X left in stock. And as you can see, for now I have a product number 1, and current stock status is in stock, and only X left in stock is set to null because of our product has quantity set to 20, and in our configuration, stores configuration, catalog inventory, currently only X left threshold is set to 0. It is disabled. So back to my product. I will change product quantity. I set it to 0, save product, and for now we have quantity 0 and stock status out of stock, and rerun this query. You can see the stock status is changed from in stock to out of stock. Of course, I had to allow to show products that is out of stock in configuration too, and back to this configuration, catalog inventory. Okay, I change only X left threshold for now for about 25. Run query. Of course, nothing's happened because our product is currently out of stock. So I had to add. I have to add stock for it. I set it to 20. Set in stock. Save that product. Okay, for now it's 20, it's in stock. For now, our product back to this stock, and only X left in stock show 20 for its quantity. And for the implementation, of course, we have testing scenarios that cover all two fields. One is from in stock and another is for the out of stock. The same is for X left in stock when it's disabled or enabled. And yeah. Okay. The base implementation is I defined in product interface two new fields and wrote from these two resolvers, and stock status is based on enum in stock and out of stock. So for now, it's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bartek, for the great presentation. Guys, do you have any questions to Bartek?
Like, it's great implementation. I don't have any questions to implementation. I just have one question to all of you guys regarding requirements. So we have currently a situation when if you disable showing out of stock products on storefront, you will still be able to get this stock status, like in all situations. Basically, all products will have stock status in stock. Like, from my perspective, it should be useful because if your PWA implementation, like storefront implementation, doesn't care much and you show like product status all the time, you don't have to write any conditions in this case. On the other hand, maybe it will be useful to return like null in this case, but like I personally believe that current implementation is good, but it was some like conversation around this, and if you guys have other opinions, like feel free to let us know, and we may like create follow-up tickets if you believe that this is not like really what we want. But like from our perspective, I believe this is good.
Okay.
Like
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so our next presenter is Martin. Martin, it's really nice to see new faces here. So
Hi.
welcome to the team. Hi.
Hi, thank you. You guys hear me good?
Yeah, great.
Yes. All right. So let me share my screen. All right. So are you seeing my screen now?
Yes.
Cool. So this pull request is about fixing a small reg expression when you try to filter categories from Magento. So the thing is, let me go to the tab. All right. Here in the category and the get3 method, we have a small slash at the very beginning. So when you try to get the root category, this won't work because in the database, the root category doesn't have the first slash. So the fix, it's about to changing how that reg expression is built. So when we receive number 1 category root ID, we will be using reg expression without the first slash, right? So let me just comment this out and try to hit the root category won't work because the first slash is present. So if we enable the validation, we can hit again, and it will be returning the entire categories. We can add also children categories, to get all the childs. Currently, the pull request is failing because of Travis validation, which I have fixed here. But that's pretty much it. It's a kind of an easy fix, but it's my first contribution, so I was kind of nervous, but I hope to to resolve that Travis test so we can continue pushing this code forward. Right, you have any question, guys?
So maybe just one suggestion, if possible, could you please also modify existing test or write a new one? Just
right, totally. Yeah, sure.
And
can we?
Yeah, if you need any help, like setting up environment, if you know, like run tests or like questions about tests themselves, you can ask myself. I'm Alex Palaros, or you can write to Valery Naida, who is also from Magento, and we can suggest you how to proceed.
Yeah, that will be awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I will take that offline. But yeah, it's I don't have any test environment, set up, so it will be great if you guys can give me a little hand for that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, that's all from my side.
Okay, thank you, Martin. So you have the best background of us, so thank you.
Yeah, it's home office today.
Yeah, looks great. Okay, guys, so I believe that's it. Maybe Valera, some words to say.
No, I can say only thank you guys for attending and see you next time.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank you, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Bye, everybody. See you next week.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.